Bhunattu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Before I go into the fourth part of this Atma, I just want to make a very small remark which I think is a very, you all must know. Okay? 2 days ago, Preeti asked me this question. She says, how much of this Vedic vision is lived in India? Okay? And it's a very significant question. Neeru tried to answer it, and I think her answer was very good. Because she said that people do live it without even knowing its depth. And that is really the reality. What do I mean by that? Okay. What is forming the basis of Vedic vision? All that is here is Ishvara. Right? When a simple villager goes and does namaskara to Ganga, is she praying to 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom? Who is she praying to? He or she?
To Ganga Maya.
Ganga Maya, who is Ishvara. Exactly. So that means there is an understanding that where there is water, which is what? The physical aspect of the water, it is not what? Away from Ishvara. It's one of the manifestation of Ishvara. Okay. Then there is a subtle function of that water. What does it do for me? It purifies my body, without which I cannot be alive. It is a great blessing, right? Which is not the physical aspect of hydrogen and oxygen atom. It's all the subtle functions that it performs. That subtle function is what? Manifestation of Ishvara. The all-knowledge, which is manifesting, which is a potential, which is manifesting in form of what the physical water is what? Equally Ishvara. And the subtle function that it performs with reference to my life is equally an arrangement of Ishvara. So this all knowledge is manifesting in form of the physical water and its subtle utility to me. The entire thing is Ishvara. And therefore it goes and it doesn't treat it just like some river. It looks upon it with a lot of reverence. This is, where is this coming from? Who taught them to go to water and start praying? It is the Vedic vision. Whether the normal person can articulate, if Preeti goes and asks, why are you praying to this Ganga Maya? The person may not be able to show the entire Mandukya Upanishad and tell her this is why. Okay? But the person does have insight. It's maybe partially understood, okay, or intuitively understood. Maybe it's not total clarity with reference to it, but Vedic vision is alive, very much alive, and this is exactly what Neeru was saying. Everything is percolated by Vedic vision. I live in Mumbai on Juhu Beach, okay? And every morning I go for a walk. They are normal human beings. They are walking around and they do salutations to sun. I've been all over the world. I don't remember seeing anybody saluting the sun. Here, it's a daily sight by many people, not only the people who have come to study Vedanta. Whether they understand it all or not, but there is a culture. The whole culture is what we call a Vedic culture. The basis of Vedic culture is there is divinity everywhere. You go to a simple panwala. While we were in Bangkok, Surya saw a movie, right? What is the movie, Surya, that you saw? Some
Namni Namani.
Namni Namani. Okay, he saw a movie where he, I think it's about Kabir. Okay, I don't know the details because I didn't see the movie. I got stuck in Bangkok traffic jam, so I missed the movie. But the thing is that the movie was actually, when simple panwalas, you ask them, where is Ishvara? Many of them will say, it's everywhere. You ask them, prove it to me, they may not be able to prove it to you. But that understanding is in the psyche of a person. Okay? And this is why India is regarded as the spiritual land. Why is India regarded as spiritual land? You see dirt here, you see corruption here, you see all kinds of problems, and you see citizens who are at times aggressive, and nobody keeps time at all. It's a chaos everywhere. And still it's spiritual. The entire everybody looks up to India for what? It's spirituality. Just 2 days ago when we were taking the ride back from this Birla guy, he says, right across your ashram, Beatles came there. Right? They had everything in the world. They had fame, they had lots of money, they were world famous. What were they looking for? To fill the void. And where could they find it? In this country which has a vision. A vision which is an extraordinary vision. Totally different vision than the rest of the humanity, how they live. The rest of the humanity, we don't need to say that they don't have knowledge. They do have knowledge. They are very evolved in so many other ways. Okay. But this country carries this vision, not only this vision of oneness, it carries with it a very sophisticated methodology to show it to you how it is so. And that is a gift for the whole humanity. It's not only for Indians. Because it's relevant to each and every. It is the only thing which can solve the incessant search for fulfillment. There is no other way one can totally fulfill this one's being. So this is, when you see India, I'm not saying forget about everything else, no. But don't forget this part also. See India in its totality. India has problems, but India has been carrying this tradition for how many years? How many years? Generations and generations and generations. The teaching that is available to you today is a result of work of how many people? Not just me, not at all. This whole teaching tradition, it seems to you like such a brilliant tradition, is carried forward, transferred from one mind to the other. And the minds have developed themselves to be able to receive this knowledge and to pass it on in its entirety. This is the country, and we have to be thankful to be born in this country.
Because you see it everywhere. This attitude of reverence is infused in the very DNA of the culture, right?
Exactly.
Whether it is towards the cow or towards whatever they believe to have that form.
Exactly.
You actually see so much faith everywhere. You know, if you see in villages, in smaller places especially, not in such...
Exactly.
You see such faith everywhere. The way they like their morning.
Right. I mean, people otherwise just go to mountain for hiking. Here we live in the foothills of Himalayas. The entire summer, it is what we call the pilgrimage season. People come from around India walking, right, going to these Himalayas, because for Himalayas, for them, is not just a mountain.
It's a board of...
Yeah. They go through great hardships. They come walking, sometimes from South India, with nothing with them, hardly any money. But they say, once in their lifetime, they have to see the Himalayas. Because Himalayas are not just mountains. That is one of the very important manifestations of Ishvara. Where in the world you have this reverence towards everything. This is Vedic culture. What gives them that reverence? The very DNA has that. Because we are, through our genes, we have been carrying forward this Vedic vision. So that's the answer to your question.
Thank you. Excellent.
Okay. So, this, all that is here is Ishvara, is part of Indian culture. Now, we move to the fourth. The fourth is, what is the fourth part of Atma? Savita was saying, my God, is there anything else left? What could there be which would constitute of the fourth? We think we have included everything. Yes, Uddhav is convinced we've included everything, right? So that means when you include what? Subtle, physical and causal, what else remains? Right? So this is the beauty, because this is what the ultimate vision of Vedanta is. It says, the 7th verse, Na anta prajnam, na bahish prajnam, na ubhayata prajnam, na prajnana ghanam, na prajnam, na aprajnam, adrushtam, avyavharyam, agrahyam, alakshanam, achintyam, avypadesyam, atma pratyaya saram, prapancha upashamam, shantam shivam, advaitam, chaturtham manyate, sa atma savidneya. My God, what is all this? Right? I thought I'd finished it all, and there is this huge long sentence. And he says, this is what? Chaturtham manyate. Chaturtham is the fourth part of Atma. Okay? And that is Sa Atma Savidneya. This is really the Atma that the Upanishad wants to convey to you. This is really, everything else is a setup, what it where it wants to lead you to this discovery of this fourth part, which is the most important part. Okay, so what is this Saha Atma Saha Vigneya? This is the Atma that needs to be known by you. And what is this Atma? Okay, so that is, I will just first read, and then which will not make any sense to you, then I will make sense out of it by explaining what it means. Right? So here he says, they recognize, who are they? The wise people. The people who see much more than what each one of us sees. Okay? They recognize the fourth to be that which is not conscious of the inner world, nor the conscious to the outer world, nor conscious of either, nor a mass of consciousness. It is not conscious or it is unconscious. It is unseen, beyond empirical dealings, cannot be grasped, without any ground for inference, not available as an object of thought, and not an object of expression by words. Okay? The one and the same Atma that obtains in the three states, it is the one in whom the entire universe is resolved. It is unchanging, auspicious and non-dual. That Atman has to be understood. My God, now what is this Atman? Okay? And this answers Rashna's question that she asked 2 days ago about what is Brahman. Right?
Yeah.
So now is the time to answer Rashna's question. Okay? So, how do I start this inquiry? Okay? The inquiry, let us start with myself. My Atma was initially said to be having 4 parts. The 3 I have understood very well. One is the physical, the subtle, and the causal. Okay. Now, I have to ask one more question. Is there something which is beyond or other than that? Is there any reality about I which is other than the physical, subtle, and the causal? And the Upanishad says, yes, there is a reality about your Atma which is other than all three. Okay? So that means, now let's go back to each part which I thought initially was one part of Atma. What was the first part of Atma? My physical body. Okay? Now this physical body I think is what? Real, and it is a real part of Atma. Now I will ask you, you show me where is the physical body? The legs, are they physical body? Are they?
A part of physical.
Is leg the entire physical body? No. So legs are not physical body. Is hand the entire physical body? No. Right? The stomach is the physical body? No. The back is the physical body, because you can actually cut your, somebody was asking about the person who's born with a cut hand, right? Is the person there or not? Right? Is hand eye? No. Okay. So the very physical body, when the person doesn't have hand, can you say the physical body is not there? The physical body is there. Okay. So that means the physical body, okay, when I say hand is not the body, the legs are not the body, okay, the hair is not the body, the nails are not the body, then I will say, okay, now I will take out the hand which is not the body, I will take out the legs which is not the body, I will take out the hair which is not the body, I will take out the nails which is not the body. Now you show me an entity called body.
But still whatever is left is body.
What is left? Tell me, what is left? Each,
There is life.
Life, yes, that we will see later. Now we are talking about physical. That life is subtle.
Okay. The trunk.
Yeah, the trunk, exactly. So in the trunk is kidney. Kidney is not the body, because you can take out what? Many people nowadays, they take out one kidney, they donate one kidney, right? There is a liver. So that liver also is not I, and not the body.
It's all together is body.
Exactly. So that means all non-bodies come together, and when they come together, I give it a different name called what?
Human
Body.
Body or what?
Yeah, exactly.
Animal
So
body.
that means there is no entity called body. It is what? Coming together of what? Many different parts. When many different parts come together, then I give it a name called body. And each part is what? Not body. This is the magic. This is the magic of Ishvara.
So it's dependent on which one is.
Exactly. So now, what do you now understand? Up to now, you thought that the physical body is a real part of me, which is real me. Now, what Rashna is saying, what we had studied in the first class. This body, which I think is such an integral, the first part of me, is actually what she is saying is it has a dependent reality. Mithya. Brilliant. Okay? Because this very coming of the body, it depends upon so many different parts, without which it does not come into being. And the body is actually just a name for many different parts which have come together, then I arbitrarily give it a name called body. When kidney and liver and skin and bones and what? Hands and legs, they come together, I give it a name called what? Body. Now each part, then I said okay, so body is just a name, it actually constitutes of hands, which is one part. Now hand itself, I will say, okay, I take out the skin, I take out the bone, I take out the nails, I take out the water, I take out the blood, because blood is not hand, water is not hand, nails are not hand, bones are not hand, the muscles are not hand. Now you show me where the hand is.
Now there is no hand.
Now there is no hand. First there was no body, now there is no hand. This is Vedanta. Hand is another name for what? Many different things put together. Again what? A dependent reality. Dependent reality within dependent reality within dependent reality. My God. Seems so real. If I take legs or any other part, again what? It itself constitutes of some other parts, and then itself constitutes of some other parts. While I can look at the body and I can relate to the body, I'm not denying the body. There is a presence, but in terms of its reality, what? There is a shift. What I took to be absolutely real, now what do I understand? It's actually nothing but forms within forms, within forms, within forms. An arrangement which is an amazing arrangement, but it has no real substance. Because there is no entity called body if you take out the parts. And each part, which is a hand, itself is there is no hand if you take out the blood, and if you take out the water, and if you take out the bones, and if you take out the muscles, and if you take out the the nails. If you take out, there is no entity called hand left. Then you will take what? Ultimately, if you are a biologist, you will be a little bit more clever and will say, okay, now I understand that all these different parts are just nothing but forms within forms and within forms. But I can kind of tell you what is the basic form, which is then what? Manifesting in the whole body. And what would they say it is? Cell. Okay, so that means that I understand that this liver is a different form and it performs a different function, and a kidney is another form which performs a different function, but ultimately a biologist will tell you, but they are all cells. Okay. Now, this cell itself is something which is not just cells randomly put together. Okay. If the cells are randomly put together, they do whatever. The cells are so well arranged that sometimes what it becomes my kidney. Sometimes it performs a very specific function. And it becomes liver and it performs a very specific function, without which the body as a whole cannot function. Okay? But these cells themselves are nothing but, somebody else said atoms. Who said atoms? Okay? The cells themselves have a dependent reality. My God. So even what I thought I was very clever, others were saying physical body is hands and legs, and I went to really something which is far more fundamental, and I talked about cells. But the cells themselves have a dependent reality. Oh my God. Okay. And then the cells are nothing but atoms. Atoms are nothing but what? Particles, protons, neutrons, right? And they themselves what? How far you can go?
Back to all intelligence.
Exactly. Back to this all knowledge. This physical body is just dependent reality. It is not I. It has a dependent reality, and it can be traced back to this all knowledge right now. Where will I see Ishvara? Ishvara is manifest right now in form of your physical body, and the physical body of you, and the physical body of you. Okay? With reference to I, what is I? Am I the physical body? Is physical body I? No. Why? Because these cells are changing all the time. The cell is I. Cell is something that I can see under a microscope. Okay? So therefore, the cells are not I. Many different cells come together through the design of all knowledge. Does it become I? No. Okay? So the entire physical body, which I thought was one real part of me, is now, as Rashna is saying, is actually reduced to not I, because it's different cells I can observe. They are objects, and they are put together very cleverly by the arrangement of Ishvara, the all knowledge, but that does not constitute I, because I objectify my body. Okay? So now the first part of Atma goes away. As as mithya, not really real. It's not a real part. You thought you had finished at the causal. Okay. Now, let's look at the second part of Atma, which was said to be what? Subtle. So that means, what is this? The subtle means, it was defined as having what? 19 mukhas, right? The subtle. That means the capacity, there is one thing which is a physical aspect of my eye, the other is the capacity of my eyes to see. Monica has forgot, she dropped her, the first day she came here, she put her own leg on her specs and she broke it, right? So now she says that if I'm there, I just can see figures, I have no idea who they are, right? So that means that when I look at Monica's beautiful eyes, I have no idea how far she can see. Okay? That is what we call subtle. But Monica herself knows the changing capacity of her eyes to see. When she was born, maybe it was better, and over a period of time it deteriorated. So is the sight I, or it is something which is known to me? Is it a subject or the object?
You know that you can see. So
Exactly.
the sight becomes out of eye, but you can't.
Right?
Show that how well you can see it.
Exactly. So that means that there is a presence, there is a subject which comes to know the different what? Different capabilities of sight, which keeps changing over one's lifetime. You're not, even though the physical eye remains the same, almost everybody by 42 they all start wearing at least the reading glasses. Okay? The sight keeps changing. And who am I? Am I the sight or am I the observer of the sight? I'm the observer of the changing sight that happens. Okay. Then, the other very important aspect of subtle was what? Your mind. Your whole life you think, you live with what? Your I as what? Equal to my mind. That's why you try to manipulate your mind in all these different things with no thoughts and with this and with that. Constant manipulation of mind. Or only just one given type of thought. Or the thought as I want it. That means your identity in your vision is equal to your mind. Or the mind is nothing but thoughts. What is a relationship, which is what we say is the second part of Atma, the subtle. The thoughts, do they come and go? Yes. Who are you? Are you the thoughts? If you were the thought, you would have long been gone because so many thoughts went. From the time that you were born up to now, how many thoughts you have had? How many? Countless thoughts. And they were all contradictory thoughts. One day I was really happy, next day I was really down, the third day I was kind of coming back, the fourth day something really upset me, the fifth day I went on a holiday and had a great time, so I was all bubbly again. Countless thoughts and moods and emotions and all the learning that takes place from primary school to secondary school to college, constant change of thoughts. the thoughts come and go. Okay? Who am I? I'm the observer. The starting point. The starting point is that you are distinct from your thought because you come to know the coming and going of every thought. Okay? So even the second part, which was you thought was real second part of the Atma, now you are saying even that is not really the second part of the Atma. Because that subtle is not really I, it is what? It is an object of my awareness. Just as the physical body is an object, which I objectify, which is nothing but different cells operating. One cell I objectify. Many different cells acting in harmony constitutes physical body. But it's not I, because not only I objectify, but itself is not really an entity, it has a dependent reality. It's not even there. Because it's forms within forms within forms within forms. Okay. The first part of Atma was really taken away as mithya, not really that counts. The second part of Atma itself, you can trace it back to where? My side, who programs it? Ishvara. It has a dependent reality on what? Is it my doing? The all-intelligence. So that itself is reduced not only as an object, but what? As a dependent reality, both. Okay. One thing is I observe my thoughts, and therefore the thoughts are not I.
They are the object.
They are the object. Okay. And the sight is something which is varying, so I objectify the sights. Different capacity of my sight.
So again, sight is the object.
The sight is an object, and that sight itself has what? What we say, one is an object, but that object, as Rashka says, has a dependent reality. What decides that what is the variation of my sight which is different from your variation? It has a dependence on what? That sight, the way it is, it has a dependent reality on what? On Ishvara, the programming, all knowledge. So not only it's an object, it is what? It has a dependent reality. It's all just a programming of all knowledge. Then my thoughts. Are the thoughts something that I objectify? So they are just thoughts. So they are an object. Then are they independently existing, or they have a dependent reality?
They also have
dependent reality. Why?
because they are created by Ishvara.
What makes the neurons tick? And you have something called thought. They depend, this thought cannot exist without the presence of neurons and the chemicals and what?
Electrical impulses.
Electrical impulses. So not only it's an object of my awareness, but itself is not really an object, because there is no thought possible without the electrical impulses, without the presence of neurons, without the chemical balances. It's not possible.
So where does the mithya fall in the subtle aspect? The fact that
it is all arranged. It is all arranged, and it's an arrangement of what? All knowledge. Right? Because it is not, you see it as a form and you think it's real, but it all just collapses back to what? all knowledge.
See, like the hand will collapse into different parts. A thought itself, to be able to be what it is, depends upon the combination of chemicals, neurons, different areas of the brain which are firing, electrical.
Yes.
And then if you look at each of them again individually, they in turn also depend upon something else, And still at the same time the thought is there. But what makes it what it is, it's an amazing arrangement of all these factors put together in an ingenious way. Neurosciences is trying to look into that. And still they are not able to see what the simple act of seeing, they are more or less able to figure out how it works. Imagine an elaborate thought that you're able to project yourself in the future, for example, make some plans, or some basic emotions. They are trying to understand how it works. So there is a lot of knowledge there, you understand? This is why we say it depends upon all intelligence. So much knowledge to make the whole thing happen.
Okay, so at first there are two things going on here, please understand, right? One is you're saying that it is not Atma, it is an object. That's the first step, yes? Because it's something that you observe. Then there is a second step, which is what? What I observe, which I think is a tangible object, itself is what? It has a dependent reality, and how far can I trace it? To all knowledge. This is why you see again and again when I say, my God, all that is here is all knowledge. Seems to be thought, seems to be physical bone, seems to be air, seems to be water, but everything has dependent, and it comes back to what? All knowledge. Okay? So that means it is all just basically an object. Okay? Then comes what? So that means now your subtle, which you thought was your real second part, is what? Taken away. What you are made to understand? That it is an object, and it is what? An object is a form, and it is a form within a form, within a form, within a form. And it's just what? Manifestation of this whole knowledge. Now you have, so now the two parts of Atma which you thought you've understood so well, now all gone. Here he says, na antaf pratyaha, na bahish pratyaha. How was this physical body, which was what? The first part of Atma, how was it defined? Bahish pratyaha. Bahish pratyaha is what? Uddhav, I'm so happy you're in my class. You have all the words, the right words, absolutely. Right? The physical body was said to be Bahish Prajnaha. Why was it said to be Bahish Prajnaha? Because through its senses it can interact with the external world. Right? So that means the so-called, there is one, your body is taken as what we call inside you, and then everything else is considered what? External world. And how do you know that there is an external world? Through your senses. Okay? And then you not only observe the external world, but you respond to it by what? Your organs of action. So this is what we call the waker, who is Bahish Prajnaha, who is able to what? Transact with the external world. So what you thought Bahish Prajna was the first part of your Atma. Now this is negating that and is saying na Bahish Prajna. Understand?
Because first the senses, which are input, is that right?
No. the first part of Atma, which is physical body, is something that we all think that I am. Right? Then we all think that, there is a second part which is what we call the subtle. Okay? And then there is a third part which is what we call the causal. Okay? Now we think that these are all real parts of Atma. So now, having shown you these three parts, now they are saying, but those parts that you thought were the real parts of Atma are actually mithya. They are just objects, they are not subject. It's a mistaken Atma. Because the physical body, which you thought was you, the first part of Atma, is now shown to you that it's not really the first part of Atma. Why? Because your relationship with the physical body is that you objectify the conditions of different body, you are not the body.
So you go this way and that way, meander a little bit. Yeah.
You meander a little bit because first you start with what you think you are, then it starts negating everything. Right? So first it says Bahish Prajna is the first part. The fourth part is what? Na Bahish Prajna. That means Atma is not the physical body. Atma is also na Antaf Prajna. Is also not the subtle body. Because subtle body and its functions are what? Known to you. They are changing and they are known to you. They are dependent. Not only they are object of what you know, but plus they have a dependent reality. They are itself what? Forms within forms within forms within forms. You understand the intricacy of this whole reasoning? You can follow? Okay. So now the second part of Atma, which is the subtle, is also taken away as the real intrinsic part of Atma. Then remains only the third part, which is the causal. I think we can see it tomorrow.
Today, the due to
You want
Something to reflect on.
No, today 3:30 to 4:30 we can have this. So
Depends on.
we will have, you have to give your mind a little bit of rest.
It's like a TV series. Next episode, you know.
it's like we are coming to it and breaking.
Because your mind needs time. This is what I'm teaching is not ordinary. I'm amazed that you people are following me, because it is very intricate. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.